Alright YouTube, I'm Jerry, it's Egypt.
Welcome to day 10 of our Egypt honeymoon. Today is our last morning in Luxor, and it was nice to watch the balloons take off over the Valley of the Kings again. Our first stop is Karnak Visitor Center, and it includes this model of what the temple used to look like when it was complete. Karnak Temple took almost 2,000 years to build. It started during the reign of Senusret, somewhere between 1971 and 1926 BC, and it was finished somewhere between 305 and 30 BC during the Ptolemaic period. 30 pharaohs put their mark on this massive temple, making it the most impressive in all of Egypt, and it's the largest religious structure ever to be built. It's dedicated primarily to the gods Amun, Mut, and Khonsu. To get to the temple from the visitor center, you have to walk through the ram-headed Sphinx Avenue, which was built by Ramesses II, and this takes you to the forecourt. In the forecourt, you'll find offering tables, a sphinx, and some examples of how they made the columns. You can see that unfinished one in the corner. If you go right, once you're in the courtyard, you'll reach the Temple of Ramesses III, which is where we're heading first. In this temple, you'll find some images of Ramesses III making offerings to Amun-Ra. Now this is the Great Hypostyle Hall. It consists of 134 massive sandstone columns. This section was built by Seti I and Ramesses II. The construction of this section started in 1290 BC, and the middle 12 columns are the tallest at 20 meters tall. Some of the columns in this hall still have their original paint, which is very impressive due to the age. Once you leave the Hypostyle Hall, you'll find the obelisk of Thutmose I off to your right, and then the absolutely massive obelisk to Hatshepsut right in front of you. Just like other Egyptian temples, the section at the heart is the oldest. This is the Sanctuary of Karnak. This section started the whole construction, and it was built by Senusret I. I would argue that it's one of the most impressive sections of the whole temple. Even though the hypostyle columns are huge, they're mainly made of many pieces of sandstone. The sanctuary is made of absolutely massive blocks, and the difficulty of moving these blocks into place would have been insane. In the smaller temple next door, you can find some vandalised depictions of gods and also some unfinished carvings, giving you an idea of how they'd start the images on the walls. Behind the sanctuary is the Middle Kingdom Court, which will then lead you to the Hall of Thutmose III. We then circled back, and when you do, you can see some examples of their numerical system carved onto the wall. We also went past some really high quality but broken statues of Sekhmet to get to the Kashet Court, which is the home to a shorter obelisk and the famous scarab of Amenhotep III. Travellers are obsessed with walking 7 circles around this scarab. Apparently it's for good luck or something, but our tour guide thought it was nonsense. From here, we walked to the open-air museum section of the temple to look at all the bits of the temple that have just been found scattered around. I'd heard stories of there being a massive arm of a statue in this section, but unfortunately we couldn't find it. Regardless to not finding the arm, there are still some pretty cool stuff in this area, like the chapel dedicated to Hatshepsut. From here, we walked back through the hypostyle hall to rejoin our guide. This hall is incredible to stand in. It really feels like a forest of columns. There's almost too much to look at, which is why I had no idea where to point my camera. If you were to carry on walking west through this hall, you would exit the other side and meet the Avenue of Sphinxes that takes you all the way to Luxor Temple. But as it's a 2.7 kilometre walk through the Sphinxes, we thought it'd be better just to drive there so we could spend more time in Luxor Temple. You get a really nice, almost 360-degree view of Luxor Temple in the car as you approach, since the new roads go all the way around the site. Just like Edfu, it's pretty wild how people live and work so close to this amazing historical landmark. This is Luxor Temple. It used to have 2 obelisks standing at the entrance, but unfortunately the one on the right is now in France, since that rascal Muhammad Ali swapped it for a broken clock tower that we saw in my 3rd video. Here we can get a view of the Luxor end of the Avenue of Sphinxes, and in the very distance you can just about see Karnak Temple. This avenue was created by Nectanebo first between 380 and 362 BC, and there's a total of 1,057 statues along this avenue. Luxor Temple was built by many pharaohs just like Karnak, and construction started in 1400 BC, then expanded by Ramesses II. There are 4 standing statues and 2 seated statues at the front, and on the left side you'll be able to see an image of Ramesses II on his chariot going to war. As you enter the temple, you'll find a shrine to Tutmosis III on the right. This has some really out-of-place columns. These are single-piece red granite with black granite bases. It sticks out like a sore thumb considering the rest of the temple is made from piled-up sandstone blocks. These columns would have been very difficult to produce, especially to this quality. This shrine was built between 1479 and 1425 BC. It predates the rest of the temple. The massive seated statues here are again made out of granite and are much more difficult to make than the other standing statues that surround this court. I think they were actually here first and the temple was built around them. My reason for this thinking is there's a strange gap behind the left statue before it gets to the temple wall. If the temple was here first, there would have been no need for such an indent and you'd just put the statues in front of the wall instead. You can also see some bad quality lines on the statue itself, making me think that it could have been written on by a less capable society, just like the boxes in the Serapeum. Once you've made your way past these statues, you'll find a statue of Tutankhamun with his sister wife at the beginning of the colonnade. And at the other end, you'll find the peristyle court, which is where they used to have festivals. You'll even find a Greek and Roman style Christian chapel in this temple, which was made during their occupation. This is where you'll find that famous sperm on the wall right next to Amun-min, their god of fertility, hinting at the idea that they knew exactly what sperm looked like, which of course you cannot possibly do without a microscope. After a final walk around the temple and a really nice view of it from the Avenue of Sphinxes, we had a long 3.5 hour drive from Luxor to our next hotel in Aswan. It was really nice to see the sunset over the desert on this drive. It was also pretty surreal to see some construction sites in the middle of the desert. We also got a really lovely view of the Nile as we travelled over this bridge, so I thought I should include it. And now we've arrived at the Sonesta in Aswan. It's a really beautiful hotel with this incredible view of the Nile, but you're going to have to wait until the next videos to see it in daylight. Thanks for joining me on our final day in Luxor and our transfer to Aswan. Remember to come back as we've still got a few more days out to show you.